हॅलो. तुमचे लेक्चर नसतात आता प्रियांका दिदी? अच्छा, मग तू ते सोडून आमच्या इथे पण बसली आहेस. अच्छा.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir.
No, thanks. We'll wait for Vandana ma'am to dial in and then we'll start the call. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You guys are from first year or different years?
Yes, sir. First year.
Okay, interesting. Okay, no worries. I think I got a message from her that she's joining, so we'll just wait for a couple more minutes. In the meanwhile, let me just see if the screen share of option is working. So I'll just try to present my screen and just see if you are able to see it. Okay. Are you able to see my screen like a PowerPoint and something? Okay, sounds good.
Hello, Atri.
Hey, ma'am, how are you?
You good, good. How are you?
Good, good.
Yeah,
Thanks
nice to see
for
you
inviting
in
me.
2004. Yeah, glad you came. Thank you so much. And there are more activities where we'll be involving alumni. As I wrote to you, this is our golden jubilee year, right? So welcome aboard, right? So we'll be
Sure,
involving you in
congratulations.
more activities.
Yeah, yeah. Quite extremely happy to help and participate, and honored to be in this platform and share my experiences.
Oh, we are so glad. Dr. Rita Lala is there. She'll also be joining because she is conducting the induction program. Right?
Okay,
Should we
got
wait
it.
for her? Priyanka, let me introduce you to Priyanka. Where are you? You can come on screen. Right. Atri, she is Priyanka Achrekar, our General Secretary, and a very good one, a very efficient one.
Okay. Yeah, glad to meet you.
Right. And in fact, she wanted to attend this session. She was the one who told me. In fact, she made a few changes in the lecture schedule, and some final year students, TY students, also would be attending. Okay. So, Priyanka, more are joining in, or should we start? Okay, let her come in. I'll
Yeah,
introduce.
Rita
Rita joined.
Has
yeah,
joined.
yeah. And there.
Okay, okay.
Hey, hello, ma'am. How are you? Nice to be connected
How?
after so many
Hello,
years.
how are you? How are you?
Good, good, all well. Thank
So
you.
nice to see you after
Yeah,
so
after
long.
so long. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How are you doing, dear?
So all well. I think I'm now in Singapore, and
Wow.
fortunately, I think COVID situation is quite controlled here. So we don't have so
Oh,
much worry. But of course, my parents are in Mumbai, so I'm
I
still
see.
worried what's happening on India.
Yeah, yeah. True, true, true.
Right. So, Atri, we would like to see you right in person also sometime when you come back. Right? Come to
Yeah, yeah.
India
When
and take some time.
situation normalizes, of course,
Yes,
I'll
yes.
be very happy to come
Right,
down and
right,
meet you.
right. Yes. And as I said, we'll be involving you in many activities. Okay. So, should I start now, Rita? Or we wait?
Yeah, sure, sure. Please do, Vandana. Thank you.
Okay, right. So it really gives me great pleasure to invite one of my students here, Atri Banerjee. Right. So very quickly to introduce him before he starts with this very interesting and right fun-packed session. You have a lot of activities to do here, students. There'll be a poll, etc. Right. So keep discovering as you cruise along. Okay. So Atri Banerjee is Director Strategic Planning for Asia Pacific region with Smith& Nephew, a British multinational medical equipment manufacturing company headquartered in Watford, England. Atri completed his B Farm from KMK in 2004, after which he pursued an MBA from NMIMS. Atri has 14 years of work experience in healthcare consulting, pharma, and medical device industries. He has worked in India, Dubai, and Singapore, and currently leads strategic planning for Smith& Nephew for 14 Asia Pacific markets based out of Singapore. Atri, right? A very warm welcome to you. Students, please welcome him by putting your hands together. Right.
Thank you,
Yes,
everyone.
Atri. Yes, please.
Glad to be
Right?
here.
Okay, the platform is all yours, Atri. Please start.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I think Vandana ma'am already mentioned this. So this is going to be a very interactive session. It's not like a one-way lecture where I'm trying to do something. So we'll start with an interesting poll, and this will help me also try to see what has changed in the last 20 years of BFarm and how are you guys thinking about the course, and also getting to know you guys, right? So let me try to, if you can already see my screen, I have a link here. I'll paste it in the chat window here and just try to access it. Open it in Google Chrome, and then you'll be asked 4 questions. I'll give you like 2 minutes to fill the 4 questions. It's very easy. You can fill it in like half a minute also. Just fill it, and then once you're done, we can go through the results. Just let me know if you are able to now get the chat. I can see it here. Yeah, I think colleagues are accessing the link now. I can see it. And once they complete it, I think these bars will come. So we'll give it 1 minute more, and then we can see the results. Don't skip any questions. Try to fill all the 4. Okay, looks like we are halfway through. Okay, some more to go. Yeah, don't think too much. Whatever comes to your mind first, just put it there and submit your responses. Okay, we have 13 more colleagues who are filling it. I would request you to go a bit faster so that we can see the results. Don't worry, your name will not be displayed anywhere, so it's anonymous. Okay, guys, I think 15 seconds more and then we'll see the results. Let's have like one more, like 25, and then we can start. 15 underway. Oh, and colleagues have joined late. Okay, I think let's see the results and see how what has come out from the survey. Yeah, can you still hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir, we
sir.
can hear.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir, we can hear you.
we have I think 26 now, which is quite a good statistical sample size for the class that you have. So you can still see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so the first question is, what are your expectations from this session? And this is like a cloud bubble. So the uh, the bigger the word, the more frequency it has got. So I think the first one is knowledge. The second one is understand what pharmacy is all about. Third is learn. Fourth is opportunity, and then getting better information, field, implication, future, etc. Yeah. So I think you would definitely learn something about all of these factors. So it's very well put out. Let's move to the next one. Okay, so this is an interesting slide where um, the question was, why did we choose Bachelor of Pharmacy course? And I appreciate that there are colleagues from first year and also final year. So the thinking would have really changed when you reach final year, but when you started out first year, I think this is a chart I was actually expecting. And this is a very similar chart to say what my batch was in when I joined in 2000, year 2000 and passed out in 2004. And in fact, I was also falling into this 48% category. So there's no surprises. The the good thing is, I think 24% of the colleagues always wanted to get into pharmacy. And I hope, I think if I had run this poll for my own batch, this would have been like 10%. So this is something which I think sees a massive improvement. And there are some colleagues who don't relate to any of these factors, but I think this is a big one because pharmacy is still not getting the importance that it needs, right? So it's looked into. Oh, I didn't get into MBBS, I didn't get into engineering or dental, and here let me select pharmacy. That's something which is probably left over. So this is something that probably colleagues who are now in the industry and see the importance can shape, and that's the exact reason why I'm having this conversation with you, to take you through my journey and also tell you why it's important. So the good thing to note is while you have taken this career decision because you did get into MBBS engineering or dental or any other thing, the next step is to be extremely serious about it, right? So you should not be sulking that, oh, my friend has become a doctor or my friend has become this or whatever, right? So you need to then move on and say, okay, this is what I got, and let me make the most out of it, right? So and frankly, some of my colleagues who had pursued MBBS or even dental, I saw them studying 10 years more than I have studied, and they took a long time to establish themselves, their practice, etc. Especially guys who did not have family practice. So I know how hard it is to become a GP. And nowadays, there's no value for GP, right? You have to be like a specialist, and it's like a 10-year career path. So uh, looking back, I think that conscious decision of not doing an MBBS was or a dental was quite helpful for me. And I'll explain you when I show you my career trajectory. Okay, so what you guys want to do next after B Farm? And again, my surprise is colleagues don't know what they want to do next, right? And this is the scary bit because um, if you don't know what you want to do next, you'll always be opportunistic. And mind you, you have taken an opportunistic decision by getting into pharmacy, right? From the earlier slide, because you wanted to do something else, you didn't get it, and you took it. So I think this is again something where you need to speak to a lot of colleagues in the industry to see what career path works for you. The good thing is, I think 45% of the colleagues have something in mind, right? Some of them want to get a job, some want to pursue MBA, some want to pursue MPharm, and some want to take the long run, directly get into PhD, right? But guys who are still here, you really need to bucket yourself early on. At least by when you reach, say, second year of B Farm, you should know what you're doing next because all your planning, etc., can kick in. And these days, you need to really network a lot, right? The dream company that you want to go to, or even the dream university you want to go to, it will need a lot of effort from your side. Marks will certainly help, but these days you need to have a lot of network around yourself as well. So again, no surprises here. Even my batch, I think if we had run the poll, would have been very similar. I think people at that time, many of our colleagues directly went for a job. The reason being, pharma industry was very attractive when we passed out in 2004. It still is, with a different degree. Okay, so one thing which differentiates you, and you would also appreciate why this question is important because you need to identify early on what are your strengths, right? Against your colleagues and competitive set. So when you pass out of B Farm, you will be competing with not only colleagues from your own college, but also all the other pharmacy colleges across India. And that's one. And second is when you pursue a higher education, again, there is a lot of competition out there. So I think the good thing is passion is something that stands out here. Dedication, work. Some colleagues have already identified some domain like cosmetology, curiosity, interest. I don't know who's written angry. Hardworking is good, yes. Thinking, anything, positivity, making a difference, honesty. I think these days honesty is quite rare, and hence you see it in a very small font size. Good, but yeah, this really tells us that we have unique qualities amongst ourselves, and we should be able to leverage them in whatever way possible. Okay, so this was my poll. I'm sure you have learned something out of it, and were able to self retrospect in terms of, you know, why I'm doing this and where am I going, right? At the end of the day, I'll pause here before I move to the next section for any questions, thoughts, or comments. Any questions, thoughts? Was it interesting? Did you think we could? I mean, these are the right questions, etc. Quite a silent audience. Are you able to hear me?
Sir, is it really the case like it's shown? How only 20% students go for masters or MBA, and others have no clue or go for a job?
Also, this is your own batches feedback, right? So I'm not saying this is an ideal composition, but ideally, I mean, if I recollect my batch, more than 50% of the colleagues went for a job after BPharm. The I think where you need to really retrospect or think is a lot of colleagues mentioned here that they don't know what they want to do next. So that's something that if you're falling on the that category, you really need to think about it, right?
Sir, what according to you is good? Going for job after B Pharma or pursuing master's degree?
So there are pros and cons in each of them. So frankly, from my position where I am in, yes, we are doing a 4-year professional course, but um, these days competition is so high that you don't restrict yourself to being a graduate, right? Um, yes, you are doing a professional course compared to say a BSc in chemistry or a biotechnologies, but you need to really study more. That's my observation. Yes, colleagues. I have colleagues who have like worked for like 2 to 3 years, and then they have pursued their MBA either part time or full time, or they have also done their masters. So there are different models, but I think my observation is just with the BPharm in pass out in 2024 is not going to cut it, right? You need to pursue a master or have more um, uh, education qualifications beyond that. Probably when we passed out in 2004, a BPharm with a BPharm degree we could really do a lot many things. But now with increased competition out there, you need to have either a master's, an MBA, or a PhD. Okay, if you can still see my screen, let me.
Yes, sir, we can see the screen.
Okay, so let me. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so let me now talk about myself, and I'll also talk about how BPharm helped me in achieving some of the uh, milestones that I'd set for myself from a goal perspective. Of course, a lot of you guys are very new to career and industry, so you might not absorb everything. But the point is, think long term in your career and look at how can you diversify um, at each step, right? So I started. I mean, Vandana ma'am explained. So I'm a BPharm graduate from KMK, passed out in 2004. Even to study, I directly cracked my MBA and moved into pharmaceutical marketing. I think early on, I had really set up my target that I need to be in pharmaceuticals and healthcare, right? So that's the reason why I did not do a general MBA as well. And I also thought that because I'll be very niche and differentiated in the market, I'll have more value, and that really helped me in the long run. So I started my career with management consulting. So I think spent around 3.5 to 4 years and worked with two very different organizations. So started in healthcare consulting in Frost and Sullivan, and then moved to McKinsey. So McKinsey is one of the is the world's number one consulting company. When you get a chance to read about them, and the beauty is these consulting companies actually consult across different industries. But because of my background here, both my B Farm and my MBA, they selected me in healthcare practice. Right, so I had a very specialized role within within that setup. Then my experience into pharmaceuticals started where I jumped from consulting to the farm industry, and this was in Abbott Healthcare. So I actually joined a company called Piramal Healthcare, which basically got acquired by Abbott. So Piramal at that time was, I think, the number two pharmaceutical company, and then once Abbott acquired them, they became number one, at least in 2009 when it happened. Um, then I got a chance to work with Johnson and Johnson Medical Device, and of course, you know that J&J is a very large, diverse organization with it's into um, consumer pharmaceuticals and medical devices. So I was in the medical device space, and this was also my first experience moving from farm to medical device. Till here, I did not have any exposure to or knowledge about medical devices. So I think that was a good learning for me and a shift in within healthcare, a different domain. And then I continued to grow in medical devices, where I worked 7 years in J&J, and then now I'm about to complete 3 years in Smith and Nephew. Smith and Nephew, I got a chance to work both in their Dubai office and now in their Singapore office. You would also appreciate that I have 30% consulting and 70% industry experience, and then I have 50-50 region and country experience. So when I say region, it means Asia Pacific, and when I say country, it means India. So I had to, learn and unlearn a lot, moving from various different roles. But now I'm in a position where I have very good understanding of 14 markets in Asia Pacific, and I'm like a domain expert in either farm or medical device. Okay. Any questions at this stage from anyone? No.
So, what is your point of view regarding, like you said, that you had specialized in farm management? So, what is your point of view regarding like the conflict between farm management and general MBA?
Yeah. So there are pros and cons. Um, so when you do a farm management versus general MBA, the courses are pretty much same. It's just that the case studies and the professors and the visiting faculties in pharmaceutical management is from the farm industry. Okay, so they are industry specific, while in a general management they are industry agnostic. So basically, you'll have case study of consumer, you'll have case study of telecom or IT or any different sector, right? So one is a specialized role and one is a quite a generalist role, right? So there are pros and cons in both these cases. The biggest pro for pharmaceutical marketing is, or like a farm kind of focused MBA is, you are a specialist and you are in high demand because there are not so many colleagues like you in the market, and you have a big industry which is quite growing, right? So there is demand. The con is that your industry is locked. So it's very difficult for me today in this career path to change an industry. So today, if I want to work with Apple and Google in a digital industry, yes, I can. They can hire me, but I don't have the domain expertise, right? But I have high levels of domain expertise when it comes to pharmaceuticals, medical device, or even broader healthcare. So there is always a pro and con between being a specialist versus being a generalist. But that's where your focus early on needs to come in, right? So the question that I'll also ask is, if you want to do a general MBA, I mean, you could have also done it with a BSc or a BCom degree. Why are you doing a B Farm degree? You could have saved 1 year also, right? And those are some of the things that an interviewer will also ask you. I have colleagues who have pursued general MBA after B Farm, but at the end of the day, they keep on getting healthcare and pharmaceutical kind of opportunities. So I've never seen them really diversify into something big, but that pool is also very low. I mean, out of the MBAs that passed out, say 70% would do pharma MBA and 30% would do general MBA.
Yes,
Any
sir.
other questions?
Also, so is it necessary to get a experience after bachelor's before going for an MBA?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. So personally, I did not have experience. You can see I directly moved into an MBA. Um, there are a couple of factors around it. So um, when you are basically when you are an experienced person after say graduation and you are looking for an MBA, you need to basically factor in two three things. One is you have started to work, you are earning your salary, and many of us might have to support our own families, etc. So when you start to then do an MBA, there would be you'll not be working, right? So you'll always feel that I'm not earning money. That's one thing which happens, and the second thing is when you start work, it's very difficult for you. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's very difficult for you to put that attention and time on studies, right? Because you have to crack an entrance exam and you have to do a full-time job from 9 to 6 or 9 to 7 or whatever the timing might be. So you have to be extremely disciplined with yourself that say 5 days in a week you work, and then on your weekends you only get your weekends to study, right? So people have done that, but they are very dedicated and focused. But it's gonna be a balance because the moment you start working and you start to earn money, it becomes a habit because you then okay start to feel that it's a break in my career because and also just to give you a sense of the decisions that you need to take. Say for example, after B Farm you start working and you get a salary of 30,000 rupees. Okay, and you're working for like 2 years now, and your salary becomes like 35,000 rupees after 2 years. You have to calculate that after you do your MBA and you pass out after the next 2 years, your salary has to be more than what it would have been if you continued to work, right? So if you continue to work for another 2 years and not do your MBA, your salary would be 40,000 rupees. So your MBA has to be like double of that, right? For you to justify that you're doing an MBA in that sense. So there are pros and cons, but from personally in NMIMS, I could see that uh, pharmaceutical companies were shortlisting candidates who had experience versus candidates who did not have experience. But if you have a very good academic record, I mean, I'm not saying you won't get shortlisted, but they give priority to colleagues who have experience. So that's my first point. The second point is when you're doing an MBA, you have to specialize in year two, like HR, finance, supply chain, marketing, IT, operations, etc. You'll only get to know what these fields mean if you start working, right? Sitting here, you'll not get to know what an operation will do, what an HR will do. Once you start to work, you get to understand the organization, and then you know, okay, my passion is in HR, so I need to specialize in HR. So that's a pro of having an experience before an MBA. And all very good colleges, if you want to try IIM Ahmedabad or ABC, IIM ABC, or even ISB, they would prefer colleagues who have experience.
Sir,
Okay, so thank you.
so now that we are studying B Pharma, then after that, for doing MBA, we obviously need to crack an entrance exam. So the subjects, as you told, finance and HR, all those sounds more like commerce subjects to me. So how are we gonna cope up with that? I mean, will I be able to crack that entrance exam? I mean, what are the subjects for that?
So, um, so good question. So, when they design the entrance exam for MBS, they have to cater to not only like you're a B Farm, right? They'll have to cater to a guy who is BSc, B Farm, someone who is biotech, someone who is an engineer, even someone who's a doctor. So for them to judge you they have three things. One is they test your analytical skills, which is called data interpretation. Then they test your English skills, which is vocabulary, and there's a third one, which is I think problem solving skills. I'm not getting the right name, but these are the
Sir,
three.
we have, sir, entrance exam has
Con-
three sections. They have quantitative ability, which is maths, logical reasoning, and verbal ability.
That's right. These are the three. So one will test your math skills, one will test your problem solving skills, and one will or analytic skills, and one will test your English skills, right? So these are designed in such a way that it can be applied to any graduate, right? So even in my pharmaceutical marketing course, there were no questions on pharmacy, right? Because colleagues who were applying from BSc, Chem, Biotech, and all other healthcare allied courses, right? So your fundamentals have to be very strong, right? So um, and that's where the measurement comes in terms of your decision making ability, your communication ability, and your analytical ability. So all of these three will be tested. And during your BPharm, uh, just think about your exams, your practicals, your viva. It is also testing all of these skills in some way or the other. But having said that, you'll also have to practice a lot, right? I'm not saying without practice you can go and give an exam and you get passed. So you have to reserve like the final year, and that's the challenge of guys. Like even I had faced, I had to study BPharm for my final year, and also dedicate a lot of time to crack these entrance exams. So I was also cracking or doing a lot of practice problem solving, and I had also enrolled myself into extra classes, etc. So all of that, you have to do because everyone else is doing it. Unless you have a luxury of sitting at home for 1 year and cracking an exam, but you will lose a year, right? Okay, so let me go through some of the aspects where and how B Pharmacy helped me get where I am. And if I look back in 2004, and I joined exactly 20 years back, so 2000 batch. Can't believe it's like 2 decades now, because I have vivid memories about my class. So I joined in 2000. Sorry, I passed out in 2004, where pharma industry was really booming, and that was a time with branded generics. You had all these local Indian companies really expanding not only in India but also outside of India. And it's a good industry for us to be for graduates, because it's still a high profit industry and a high growth industry, right? From an industry standpoint, compared to say aviation or steel or any other or even telecom, which is low growth and low profit. So you guys have actually chosen, by choosing the course, you have chosen a very good industry to be in, right? And this is going to continue for the next 20 to 30 years, because healthcare is an essential commodity, right? And you could see that in COVID, where all the other industries were struggling, healthcare was still growing because diagnostics really picked up, and even people did not stop having uh, medicines, right? So they continue to have medicines, while someone will not buy his or her new phone because there is COVID and there is risk of job loss, etc. So so it's a very good industry to be in, and I think you guys have taken the first good step. When I joined, KMK was the number one college in 2000, and then there was BCT. I'm not sure about the rankings till now, but I hope that it is still in the top three. So you and people know KMK, right? So when you even start to apply for jobs, not only in India but also apply to international universities, they know KM Kurnani College because it's one of the top colleges in India. So point number two is a BPharm course also helped me qualify to apply for an MBA in pharmaceutical management because the qualification criteria was BPharm, biotech, and BSc Chem. They were not hiring NMIMS at that time, were not taking applications from any other graduate courses for this particular course. I'm not sure about now, but this really gave me the edge, right? Because certainly I'm not competing with everyone. I'm not competing with an IT engineer. The third aspect is, I think this is something which I really appreciate is when I did my summer internship, and you do a summer internship between your MBA course. Basically, MBA is 2 years, so end of first year you have a 2 month summer internship where you work in an industry. So in my summer training in GSK, the HR actually gave me a core pharma project versus other MBA candidates who had general MBAs. And this was due to my graduation because they knew that I understand molecules, I understand physiology. They gave me a very highly technical kind of project, but they wanted me to create a marketing campaign for that project. So I did quite well just because of my technical knowledge, right? So you can appreciate the combination of technical understanding and managerial application of MBA here. Finally, fourth point is consulting companies hired me because in their healthcare domain because of my background, right? So I understood how a drug is manufactured, how a drug acts in the body, right? What are the side effects of medication? Which category of molecule the drug falls under? So all of that are really important technical understandings when you think about application in business dynamics, right? So when you're creating a strategy or a marketing campaign for your clients, that understanding really helps you at the end of the day. Just imagine that any other colleague who had come from IT or say retail industry or hotel industry will never have this understanding, right? And they will take a lot of time to learn these things which I've learned in graduation. So since point four, I have been leveraging in all of my experiences in be it in Abbott in devices. So in devices, I think I moved from drugs to devices, and here the understanding of human anatomy was extremely critical. And I recollect that first year of BPharm, you have a lot of courses on human anatomy. In fact, some of them are very similar to MBBS courses. And these are some of the skill sets or learning which really helped me because now in my profile, I need to speak to a surgeon who is extremely trained and I need to speak in his own medical language. So for that to happen, I need to have some base understanding. And this continues to give me an edge in my job profile, right? Yes, large amount of my job profile is managerial now, but from a technical side, I continue to have that edge. And again, in Smith and Nephew, we have a lot of drug device combinations, a lot of biologics, where mode of action, efficacy, really knowledge of all that, knowledge of anatomy really helps. We also have some solutions into robotics, etc. So you can really appreciate how BPharm has helped me all throughout my career, right? It's not only uh, you know for my next pathway, which is the MBA, and then I took a managerial role, but even in my day-to-day work, it's been helping me. Any questions here?
So
No?
I want to ask a very like a question which could be applicable to like anyone who'd be going into the job like for going ahead for jobs. So sir, like when a person is switching a company, like you worked for Johnson and Johnson earlier and then you went on to Smith and Nephew. So what was the idea where you thought that okay I want to go for another profile or company?
Yeah. So again, a very good question. So um, in till J&J experience, I was based in India in Mumbai, but I was doing a regional role and I was responsible for APAC markets. When I moved to Smith and Nephew, they hired me in Dubai. And I was responsible for APAC EM. You can see it here. And APAC EM is basically APAC and emerging markets. So I had Latin America, I had Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa, and also Asia Pacific. So it was giving me a broader canvas to work on. And of course, I got promoted from a senior manager to a director, so I became a functional head. So I was managing a, a function independently, and then my reporting line was also to the president. So all of that really matters in terms of what is the lift that you get. So couple of things that you need to keep in mind in every new assignment that you get is, are you learning something new? If the answer is no, then don't take that assignment, because you'll not eventually you'll get frustrated and you'll not enjoy it. The second aspect is, uh, how is this next assignment important to your next 5 assignments, right? So how it is basically, how this immediate step is helpful for your broader journey. So, I mean, from my career path, my next step, if you ask me, is a global role. And I will then have to relocate from Asia Pacific to, say, either Europe or even in US. So that's how my career path is being built. So you can see that I started with a country role, then moved to a regional APAC role, and then I'll move to a global role from a remit perspective. So you have to keep all of these questions in your mind. And I appreciate, it's a very, very good question, and it's a very difficult one. You would also get, I mean, even I did that. I took some career moves. I think one of the things you can really appreciate in my career is I've worked with all the top brands in the industry, right? So McKinsey is the number one company in.
Yes, sir, exactly. That's what I was wondering, that you are already working with such eminent companies, and after that, like, what drove you to actually, move from one profile to another one?
Yeah, so you have to challenge yourself in terms of what is your own personal brand and how do you associate yourself with these companies, right? So my own personal brand was basically, wherever I work, I need to work with a number one or number two, right? So I then took all those choices. J&J is like the largest healthcare organization, and you can't go beyond J&J because there's no company which is bigger than that, right? I took Smith and Nephew. It's a smaller brand, but they have very differentiated technologies. They are the first players into robotic surgeries, which is very high tech these days. So I'm sure this experience has really helped me, because I'm able to grow faster. Able to lead teams, and I have a very high big remit. So even in the 2.5 years I've here, I've got a lot of exposure, right, in multiple roles, multiple geographies, different working with different team members and all that. So yeah, these are critical questions that you need to answer when you look at your career path.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so my last slide, and I think this is the most important slide, and I will then conclude after this. So I was trying to think, what is the learnings that I can share with you guys, right? And the biggest question that came to my mind is, today, if I had a chance to do a B farm again, what would I do better or maintain in the batch of 2020? So I joined B farm in 2000. So just imagine I have a time machine, and I can be a younger me, and I'm joining B farm again, right, with you guys, and sitting next to you. What would I do differently, and what would I maintain doing? So I gave some thoughts, and you could also reflect in terms of your own experience. And I appreciate that there are first year students who have lots to learn, and then there are final year students who can then reflect back in their own experience in B farm. Okay, so I'll start here, and this is going to be very exciting. So the first thing that I would change is, I would spend less time in canteen and spend more time in library. So reading a lot of books. So this is something that I would do differently, because I've not seen your campus library, but when this site was in Worli, we had an awesome library, and there were so many books. It was basically a big differentiator with other colleges who did not have books from international authors. So this is a very good situation to be in, where you can really learn, right? Not only from a couple of Indian authors, but also international authors in terms of what they are talking about pharmacy and your subjects and topics. So if I had to roll back time, this is something that I would really do differently. I would read a lot of books. And unfortunately, I did not read a lot during BPharm, but from my MBA onwards, I really changed as a person. So this is something that I would implement on myself. Second is spending time xeroxing notes from seniors. I think this is something that we all used to do or will do exactly like 15 days before our exam to making my own notes. So I wish, back if I do my BPharm now, I'll make my own, prepare my own concise notes, get into the detail of the topic, and challenge the why, understand the how, and be concept oriented rather than just trying to rely on someone else who has made a note and I'm just mugging it up. Again, from a mugging perspective, we had an annual kind of pattern. I think you guys have semester kind of pattern now. So in an annual kind of pattern where the entire year there is a last final exam where you really need to score marks. You need to memorize a lot, right? Because you have to memorize for the full year. So I would move from rote learning and memorizing to developing passion for certain subjects in BPharm and become like an expert, understand those concepts and go into really real detail, right? So that's something that I would do. Uh, Frankly, I was a backbencher in BPharm, and I'm sure the teachers remember me as backbenchers. So I would wait for lectures to get over and think about, okay, what am I doing next, right? And I also got inconsistent marks year after year. So this is something that I would change. I would start sitting in the front row, ask a lot of questions to our teachers, and also speak up. I can still see not a lot of people are asking questions in this forum, but once you get a job, once you do an MBA or even your masters, you will have a lot of weightages on Viva, on theory, sorry, on practicals, and on working with diverse teams. And you need to express yourselves, right? So you need to ask the questions, even if the question doesn't make sense, but at least have the ability to or confidence to ask the right question and have marks consistency year after year. So colleagues who are now in first year BPharm, if I'm a recruiter from a pharmaceutical company and I see your bio, I would see consistency in marks, right? Or I would see that year on year your marks has gone up. So you exited the final year with brilliant marks, right? So that's something that any recruiter would really see in your marks profile. So don't just think that yes, I will get very good marks in final year, and if my first 3 years are okay, it's okay. That's not the case. Okay, so things that I would definitely maintain, which I don't regret doing while I was in BPharm. The first one is what I did well is I took practicals very seriously and I used to enjoy practicals versus theory. And I also took a lot of special projects. And I remember Poddar sir here with whom I worked on a special project and presented to Indian Pharmaceutical Congress in Chennai. And I was the second runner-up in that presentation. So these are some of the projects which will really lift your confidence and take you beyond your current curriculum, because then you'll do a lot of research and you'll compete with papers in different forums. And this is something that you can also differentiate in your CV, right? You can write that you have presented in different forums, you have published research papers, articles, etc. I would also continue to take part in extracurricular activities. So I remember that starting from year one, I was quite active in dance, fashion shows, sports, not so much in debates, but this is something which will really help you develop your all-round personality, right? Because you don't want to be like a bookworm that 24/7 you're just studying and studying and studying, but you have to deliver very good all-round performance in your BPharm. And any opportunity you have here, don't compromise on your studies, right? So, but any opportunity that you have here and you guys have a small batch, take part and explore yourself, right? It will really build a lot of confidence into you. I remember some of these extracurricular activities were also inter-college, where we were competing with other institutes. So you can, be the torch bearer for KM Kundani in some of these areas as well. Finally, I think this is the only course where all of you guys will spend 4 years of your life together. And the last time you did it was during your school days. Okay. All the other courses that you do, or any jobs that you seek, you'll not have consistent friends that you are working with for closely for so many years together. So one of the big advice I give you is make good friends with your in your batch. One of the best friends that I still have today are all of them are most of them are from KM Kunani. So I'm not sure, Vandana ma'am, if you recollect Rakesh, of course you know Kunal and Geeta. Geeta, I think, spoke to you guys yesterday, and we are extremely connected. We are not only now connected as friends, but even our families are connected to each other, right? So that's how these friendships have last like 2 decades, and those are some of the good takeaways from my BFARM experience. So I'll pause here and take any questions, thoughts, or comments. I mean, this is my last slide. Yeah,
Yes,
if you can come on camera, feel free. I mean, I can at least see you. Don't be too shy.
like this is very question. See, now teachers ask us like which is your dream company or which company you want to work. So how can we decide from now on that I want this company and to work for it?
Yeah, it's a good question. So for this one to happen, you have to do 2 things. One, you have to do a lot of reading about. So there are a lot of reports like IMS, etc., which features the pharmaceutical industry. You can see which are the top companies, which are the high growth companies, which are the areas they are investing, how they are growing. Read their annual reports, etc. So that's the self learning that you need to do. The second aspect is networking. So you'll have to be networked with your alumni. So guys who are now passing out, say, who are in final year are passing out, going into working in companies, you need to be networked with them so that you get first-hand experience in terms of what are their experiences in working in all of these companies. So that's the mix that you need to create to even shortlist some of the dream companies that you should have. And I think you guys are quite young. Don't think too much about your first step. I mean, I'm not saying join a company and be there for like 20 years, right? That's something that our fathers used to do. But you can take a company who's, you're passionate to work in that company because of something else, right? Because they manufacture something or they are into some profile or you relate to the brand. There has to be like a self drive why that company is attractive to you.
And also, when should one think to change the company? Like we are
So again, like I
presently
said,
working in a company or and then yeah.
so like I said, companies these days look into consistency of how many years you have been in a company, right? So if you change too many companies, like every 6 months to 1 year, you are changing one company, it will really look bad in your profile. So people also look into a lot of consistency, and people also look into have you got promotions within those companies, right? So have they promoted you, given you more responsibilities? But having said that, if you are in an opinion where you are not learning anything new in that company and you don't see a career path going forward, that's the point you need to start thinking about your next move. Any other question? Okay. So these are colleagues who are afraid to even speak and are chatting. Okay. So what is the probability that multinational companies hire fresh graduates? What is your thoughts about startups? So let me talk about MNCs. So I recollect that when I was passing out in 2004, there were a lot of MNCs coming to King Kunnani. I remember Bristol Myers Squibb coming in and they were setting up operations in India and they hired some of our top KMK talent. So MNCs do hire uh, a lot of talent from your companies, but you need to also decide where you need to go, right? You need to go into marketing, in sales, in or having like an office job like quality control, manufacturing. there are a lot of different avenues when you start to work in a pharma company. So yes, I think MNCs will look into your CV, and you guys already have a good college brand which is working for you. Thoughts about startup? So startup is, um, I mean, the experiential learning that a startup can provide you is amazing. You will also see a lot of burnout because startups don't have solid organization structures, right? So you are doing a lot of work in one role, but the amount of learning that you'll have in a startup will be tremendous. So if you are getting a startup experience early on in your career, please take it. Is it not good to think about career options about after first year? So I think the earlier the better, because then you can really prepare about your next step. And I think I recollect the graphic where 60% of the colleagues did not know what they want to do after they pass out, right? So that's not encouraging, because then you don't plan, and suddenly final year has come and then you're trying to look at your alternates or options, right? And these days, I think these days with LinkedIn and social networking site, you can actually reach out to anyone that you want, right? So you can reach out to people, start networking, build your brand within LinkedIn. Also have a very good profile in LinkedIn. If you don't have a profile in LinkedIn, people don't know you these days. And yeah, I think from my standpoint, sooner the better. Any other
Also, so
question?
how can,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. So how can this experience of startup help us in a job? Like, I don't think that would be ideal to add up in a CV.
So it all depends on what experience you have in a startup. So, for example, if you join a large pharmaceutical MNC, you will start at like what, medical rep level if you are just a graduate now, or you will start like a area manager level from a sales perspective, or you can start up as a brand manager or product manager in marketing, right? So these are all your alternative options in a big MNC. In a startup, these roles will not exist. In a startup, you will directly start to play a very higher level of role, because they don't have a lot of organizational complexity. So sometimes you'll be working as the supply chain manager, sometimes you'll be working as operations manager, sometimes you'll do the job of HR. So you'll get cross functional experience very early in a startup role. So and that's something MNCs are also looking forward to, because startups are known for speed and ability to experiment, and they need that startup mindset in MNCs as well, because MNCs are traditionally slow and are not willing to experiment. So uh, MNCs are also hiring people who have startup experience, because they can get that mindset, the startup mindset, which is very difficult to understand in an MNC kind of setup.
Thank you, sir. Also, my another question is like, how are the salary packages different in general MBA and pharmaceutical MBA? Like, do they differ or are they similar?
So it all depends from which college to college that you are, because you can't say the IIM ABC does not offer pharmaceutical MBA, right? So you are then comparing like a tier one college to a tier two college, right? Um, so that's where, say, if you pass out from IMA, your salary will be significantly higher than you pass out from NMIMS, right? But within NMIMS, if there is a general MBA and a pharma MBA, now because I'm hiring, I mean my company and even in J&J we hire from both these batches. The salaries are quite similar. There's no differentiation. In fact, in many cases, farm MBAs are paid more in profiles for pharmaceutical companies.
Thank you, sir.
I know we are out of time. Any final thoughts, questions, comments? No. So I will. I mean, you guys can reach out to me through LinkedIn or even email me in my ID. I've given my personal ID here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to answer them. Sure, appreciate it. It's my pleasure and really an honor for me.
Atri, I too have to thank you, right, for rushing to my plea of doing a session in spite of your packed schedule, right? Even adjusting them, right? It's gone evening there, right? Okay, so
Yeah,
it's been, right, getting into your evening schedules, right? Thank you so much.
I'm
And
preparing
students,
for the weekend.
whatever Atri said, okay, he may have been a backbencher, but he was always a good student, right? And I believe, Atri, you contradicted yourself later by saying that you did a presentation at IPC, right? And was involved in so many activities, right? So it indicates his all-round performance. Okay. And thank you very much, Apri. Priyanka has nicely summed up everything and hope to have you aboard this time, right? This year for our Golden Jubilee celebrations, and we'll be seeing you more often, right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Vandana ma'am, for inviting me, and thank you, Rita ma'am, and all the students. Really appreciate this interaction and look forward for more interaction. And probably
Definitely. Yes, yes, yes.
later this year we might meet face to face as well if situation
Yes,
improves.
definitely. Yes, Apri. Okay. So thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
And
Take
we are
care.
the same
Have a
thing. Yes,
good
you
weekend.
too. Right. Thank you. Bye. Right, students? Right now, your next session students, are they there? First year students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, okay. So there, no? Now your next session will be Monday. You have the schedule with you?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Priyanka has been assigned.
Okay. But we do not know about this lecture here, na? Or you might be having some UHV lectures. Are you aware of that? That anyway, the change of schedule will notify you. But I think you will be having the same kind of schedule, except that, yes, yes, human universal human values. Correct. Right. So even for Monday, we've got a very good alumnus who's an eminent personality, a director of a startup. Okay, I heard that word in this lecture, right? Who's coming up and who will be interacting with you very freely. Okay, right. So
Ma'am,
see you on Monday, students. Yes, yes, Achal.
ma'am, sorry to interrupt you. Ma'am, do we have a session tomorrow?
No, no, not at all. This
Okay,
week we are working 5 days.
okay,
Priyanka,
ma'am.
that's right. Huh? Yeah, yeah, 5 days only. And
Monday
even the
culture.
following Achal, we have second and fourth Saturdays are holiday.
Culture.
Okay, okay, sorry. Yes, yes. Monday, but I'm not very sure about their sessions. But we'll inform you anyway. Right? We can be in touch with Rita Lala. If not Monday, then she'll be coming on Tuesday's a holiday, na? Then Wednesday. We'll just confirm about this. Priyanka, Tuesday is 25th.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
No, no, no. Then that will be, I think, Wednesday onwards. That's right. That's right. Yes. Okay. And about Monday, we'll confirm. But I think yes, they will be a part of the activities, no? Now that they're bona fide students of college. Correct, correct. Right. So your week for the induction, the second week begins Wednesday. Right? Yes, yes. Okay then. Right, meet you on Monday. I will. Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Right. Okay. Right. Bye. All of you. Take care.
Yes, thank you,
Bye.
ma'am, so much.
Okay.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you.